Good morning, my dear students. Hope you all are safe and secure. Stay home, stay safe. Welcome to today's English class. In the previous class, we have started our Unit 8. The theme of the unit is travel and tourism. We have already discussed and analyzed the A reading, the accidental tourist. Today, let us discuss the B reading, Father Returning Home poem. The poem Father Returning Home is written by Dilip Chitre. About the poet Dilip Purushottam Chitre, 17th September 1938 to 10th December 2009, was one of the foremost Indian writers and critics to emerge in the post-independence India. Apart from being a very important bilingual writer, writing in Marathi and English, he was also a painter and filmmaker. His Ekun Kavita or collected poems were published in the 1990s in 3 volumes. As is, Where is Selected English Poems 1964 to 2007 and Sesha, English translation of selected Marathi poems, both published by Poetry-Wala, are among his last books published in 2007. He is also an accomplished translator and has prolifically translated prose and poetry. He started his professional film career in 1969 and has since made one feature film, about a dozen documentary films, several short films in the cinema format, and about 20 video documentary features. He also scored the music for some of them. The poem Father Returning Home speaks about the inner loneliness of the poet's father. My father travels on the late evening train, standing among silent commuters in the yellow light. Suburbs slid past his unseeing eyes. His shirt and pants are soggy, and his black raincoat stained with mud, and his bag stuffed with books is falling apart. Meaning of commuters, passengers. Meaning of suburbs, an outlying district of a city, especially a residential one. Meaning of soggy, wet and cold. The poet's father travels on the late evening train. He stands silent among the passengers. He is silent and is unmoved by the sights of the suburbs. Sights of the suburbs because they are too familiar to him to catch his eye. As the poet father travels daily in the late evening train, he is well known by the suburbs, and his shirt and pants are soggy. They are wet and cold. His shirt and pants are wet and cold, and his black raincoat stained with mud, and his black raincoat is also, it is completely with mud, and his bag stuffed with books is falling apart. You can see in the picture, they are falling apart. The books are falling apart from the bag. His eyes, dimmed by age, fade homeward through the humid monsoon night. The poet's father being old, he has lost the brightness of his eyes. Now I can see him getting off the train like a word dropped from a long sentence. So the poet says that now he can see his father getting off the train like a word dropped from a long sentence. Here it refers to the father is getting off the train, which is like a long sentence, and he is a small word in it. He hurries across the length of the grey platform, crosses the railway line, enters the lane. His chappals are sticky with mud, but he hurries onward. So who is he here? The poet's father. He is hurry because he crosses across the length of the grey platform and then crosses the railway line, enters the lane. His chappals are also sticky with mud, but he is in hurry to go away. Home again, I see him drinking weak tea, eating a stale chapati, reading a book. He goes into the toilet to contemplate man's estrangement from a man-made world. Meaning of stale, no longer fresh. Meaning of contemplate, think seriously. Meaning of estrangement, separation. The poet says that he sees his father again in the home drinking weak tea and eating the stale chapati. Means the chapati is not at all fresh, and reading a book. He goes into the toilet to contemplate, means think seriously. He goes into the toilet to think seriously about the man's separation from a man-made world. Coming out, he trembles at the sink. The cold water running over his brown hands. A few droplets cling to the graying hair on his wrist. His sullen children have often refused to share jokes and secrets with him. Meaning of sullen, silent and bad-tempered. So the father trembles out means he comes fastly at the sink and the cold water runs over his brown hands. At the sink he is washing his hands. So what was the color of the hands? It is in brown in color. A few droplets cling to the graying hairs on his wrist. The line, a few droplets cling to the graying hairs on his wrist, says that his graying hair suggests old age. Droplets suggest sweat and hard work. His children used to refuse to share jokes and secrets with him. He will now go to sleep listening to the static on the radio, dreaming of his ancestors and grandchildren, thinking of nomads entering a subcontinent through a narrow pass. Meaning of static. Here in the poem, static means noise that disturbs the signal of the radio. Meaning of nomads. Members of a tribe moving with their animals from place to place. Meaning of subcontinent. Here in the poem, meaning of subcontinent means India. The poet's father goes to the sleep listening to the static on the radio, dreaming of his ancestors and grandchildren, thinking of nomads, those who are entering into the India through a narrow pass. Let us once again go through the summary of the poem. The poem speaks about the inner loneliness of the poet's father. The poet's father says that his children do not take care of him. They don't share anything with him. All the while, the poet's father is trying to think about his ancestors who had entered the subcontinent. The poet uses some fine imagery to describe the pain and misery lurking in the old man's soul as he travels in the local train. The poet's father's bag stuffed with books is falling apart. It indicates the state of old man's mind. The father travels in a late evening train. He walks fast to the home. His dress is soggy and his raincoat is stained. Returns to the home and drinks a weak tea and eats a stale chapati. His children refuse to share jokes and secrets with him. While going to the sleep, the father listens to the static on the radio. He dreams about his ancestors and grandchildren and he starts thinking of the nomads. Let us go through the glossary of the poem. Meaning of commuters, passengers. Meaning of suburbs, an outlying district of a city, especially a residential one. Meaning of soggy, wet and soft. Meaning of stale, no longer fresh. Meaning of contemplate, think seriously. Meaning of estrangement, separation. Meaning of sullen, silent and bad-tempered. Meaning of static, here in the poem it represents the noise that disturbs the signals of a radio. Meaning of nomads, members of a tribe moving with their animals from place to place. Meaning of subcontinent, here India. Now let us discuss the following questions. Is the father comfortable on the train? Is the father comfortable, children? No, the father is not comfortable on the train. Second question. What does the dress of the father indicate? So we all know that, is the dress looking neatly there? No. Yes, the dress of the father indicates the state of mind of the old man. He is dull and tired. The dress also shows his insignificance in this world, isn't it? Third question. A word dropped from a long sentence. What does it refer to? What does it refer to, children? The word which is dropped from a long sentence? Yes, it refers to visual picture of an old man dropping off from the train as though he is no longer relevant to the train, which will now move forward with other people to their destinations. That means he is not at all thinking of the train or the people, because to and fro the people travels in the train and they reach their destination. The old man is just a word in the syntax of life. The sentence that is long enough to carry several words forward, each contributing to its overall meaning, now drops off stray word which is no longer required. How can you say that the father is in hurry to go home? How can you say that the father is in a hurry? Because he is very much concerned about his family. He is eager to meet them after days' work. So he is in hurry to go home, though his chappals are sticky with mud. What might be the contemplation of the father in the toilet? What is he thinking there? He might be contemplating on the man's estrangement from a man-made world in the toilet. So he is thinking very seriously about the man-made world in the toilet. What image do you get from the line, a few droplets cling to the graying hairs on his wrist? Since the father is old, he has no significance in the family. Just like the droplets cling to the graying hairs on his wrist, he clings to the family. That means a droplets. Droplets means like water drops that cling on the graying hairs, that cling on the hairs. So his hair is in gray color. Hair is in the gray color on his wrist. So on his wrist, a few droplets are clinged. In the same way, he is also just a cling to the family. Why is the father thinking of nomads? Why is he thinking, children? Because the father is totally alienated from the family. He is trying to think about his ancestors who had entered the subcontinent. So read the poem once again with the help of the meanings and write the given glossary and comprehension in your classwork and send it to my given WhatsApp number. Thank you. Have a nice day.